why wait to get sick to decide you're going to get healthy? In fact, getting healthy isn't really that hard. I've got a really good friend that was out walking his dog and started having some chest pains and thought, okay, well, I'm going to take it easy a little bit. Got home and his wife insisted that he go to the doctor, and he thought, well, I just need to rest a little bit. Well, finally, his wife, with enough pressure, got him to go in, and it's a good thing she did because he was very, very close to having what's called a widowmaker heart attack, and it would have been all over. And after he got out of the hospital, he decided, oh, it's time to get healthy. Well, this guy's approaching 60 years old, and it was the shock that he could die of a heart attack that basically told him it's time to get healthy. I got another friend that was having a checkup, and his doctor said he had type 2 diabetes, and kind of the same thing. He decided that, holy cow, I better get healthier. I'm going to have a much bigger problem. And it makes me crazy to think that we wait for some sort of warning that, fortunately, you don't pass away, but you get warned enough that it causes you to take some action about your health. And it doesn't have to be that way because it's not that hard. I'm going to give you a few things you can do, right now to ensure that those things don't get you by surprise, because it's, like I said, it's really not that hard. And it's interesting. The same thing kind of happens to me. So I get my blood checked about every 90 days now, but prior to this protocol, I'd go in and get my blood checked, but maybe once a year. And it was during those physicals that they tell me, oh, your cholesterol's really high, it could be a problem. Or they, talk about, different blood markers being way off. And that scares me. And I think, oh my God, it's time to get serious again. But why not stay serious? So it's really not hard at all to get to a point where you're not going to have these sudden surprises. I would suggest step one being go find out if you have any gaps. And by gaps, I mean get your blood work done, go to a functional medicine doctor, do a elaborate blood work, just get some blood work done. Stumble with my words. And check all the biomarkers. There's a lot of them. It's not just your typical cholesterol or testosterone. It's really everything. And that work, the results come back inside of a couple weeks, and it tells you everywhere where you're good and optimal, and everywhere you might have a little bit of a gap. And it's that gap you need to be concerned about, and what it takes to close that gap. Many times it's just being aware that you have a gap and doing a little bit of exercise, or taking this or that out of your diet, or taking these kinds of supplements to get things right. But that's generally all it is. If something is warning you of a bigger problem, okay, well, now it's time to maybe go to a cardiologist, for example, if there's heart issues, or to a kidney specialist if there's some issues involving your kidney or liver. And it's your blood work where that stuff all begins. I've gone to the doctor many times and have struggled with my kidney numbers elevating. And at first they thought, it could be the beginning of kidney disease, when a good doctor will have different tests, this thing called a C-statin test, that will check your kidneys for any other types of damage that, let me back up. So when I first got the kidney report, I was taking creatine, and the doctor said, well, you got to get, not my functional medicine doctor, but the nephrologist that I was sent to said, oh, you're taking creatine, you need to stop taking that immediately. And ironically, at the time that I was told I had maybe the beginning of a kidney problem, I was actually trying a plant-based diet, and so I was eating um, lots of avocado, and it was interesting that the nephrologist had me not eat avocado and um, s- basically get off everything that potassium related that would impact my kidneys. So I did that a little bit, um, but my functional medicine doctor said no, let's try something else, and he was able to do this test and determine that it wasn't the creatine that caused the kidney issue, and it was it wasn't an issue at all to be concerned about. And so over time, I mean, I added some pomegranate uh, juice to my protein shake, and just little tweaks like that. I take a thing called I think it's called Kidney Correct as a supplement in the morning, and I think that's what it's called, and that's and that pretty much got my numbers aligned. My point is that I had this gap. I'm aware. I start talking to the experts about it, and I'm able to make some adjustments. Um, in addition to having some blood work done, I mean, as the possibilities of dying um, are increased as we get older, but it's cancer, it's heart disease, it's diabetes, and it's dementia, Alzheimer's. Those are the top four. So those are the things you really want to watch for and make sure you get your arms around. So in addition to the blood work, I went and had a CCTA scan of my heart. It's AI driven, and you're able to uh, really take a really good look at everything heart related. I had a carotid artery ultrasound. Again, that tells me if I have anything in my arteries that could cause a stroke. And so they're able to see different particles and make course corrections to bring those numbers down. So now when I go back and have these tests done again, you can see that I've had a lot of improvement. And they run a series of tests now more frequently. Not the scan like that. That's about every 5 years, but I'm on my heart very closely, and I mean, all numbers have improved to optimal levels. So, um, but if I didn't have that scan that told me I had some soft particles, I wouldn't have known. I have one of my closest friends passed away in his sleep, and they had a biopsy done, and or a um, I forgot what it was called, but they determined that he had heart disease and he didn't even know about it. And he was kind of one of these guys that thought he was healthy and wasn't a big partier, and um, ate fairly well, exercised a tiny bit, but really wasn't really paying attention. And I got a phone call that nobody had heard from him for a couple days, and he had passed away in his sleep. And it got me thinking, man, if I could have just inspired him more to stay on top of it, to get the tests, to see if there's any gaps. Um, so you get the heart scan, you have a carotid artery. There's brain tests you could take that could indicate early signs, and blood work you could take as well, early signs of dementia, Alzheimer's. And there's now treatments to uh, stop the progress or even potentially reverse it. The technology is moving quick, you guys, and get on top of it, get your arms around the information, because if there are gaps, you can treat it. There are tests now that can detect cancer, and as we know, um, many cures and treatments for cancer if you catch it early. The problem is we don't check these things, and oftentimes it's too late. So, and all the blood work when it comes to diabetes. So it's really important to first determine the gaps. But regardless of the gaps, the things that we have to do in order to stay healthy, and like I said in the beginning, it's really not that hard. Um, it's creating an exercise program that you just create the discipline and habit. Do it at a time that works for you. I've found I thought I liked doing strength training in the afternoons. I felt like I was stronger, but I also found that when I did it in the afternoon, I'd miss days because by afternoon, oftentimes I was maybe too tired or had other things to do by then. So I do it in my part of my morning routine now. I do strength training 3 days, sometimes four. I do a couple days of upper body, a couple days of lower body, and you know, each body part, 2 or 3 exercises for the body part, and I try to go pretty heavy because that's what builds muscle. Muscle is the thing that keeps us from aging, or in other words, as we age, we lose muscle. So it's really important to, keep that muscle going. Um, 2 or 3 days a week, I do zone 2 cardio, which means keep your heart rate low and walk. I will walk on a treadmill. I'll put an incline at level 3.5 or so, um, and ramp it up every minute up to where my incline's up at about 8 to 10. And I keep the speed at 3 to 4, and it's pretty fast paced, and I do that from anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour 3 times a week. Generally, it's about 45 minutes. The perfect optimal amount of zone 2 cardio is about 150 to 180 minutes a week. So that's something I track. And then 1 day a week, maybe 2, I'll go all out. So I'll get on the treadmill, or I'll get on the bike, or I'll do some sprints uphill just to really get that heart going and get myself out of breath. So I'll head up a hill hard for about 60 seconds, if I can make it 60 seconds, and then I stop and I walk down the hill, and that takes about a couple minutes to get down, and then I do it again, and I work myself up to about 10 of those. It takes 10 minutes of running and about 20 minutes of recovery, so it's about a 30-minute workout, and it doesn't even have to be that long. The point is 1 day a week, 2 days a week, go all out to just crush it and get yourself really sucking some air. But most of the time it's zone 2 cardio, and walking is probably the best way to do it. But we get zone 2 cardio when we're walking from the car into the grocery store. We're getting zone 2 cardio when we're walking the dogs. We can get zone 2 cardio in many other ways than putting it in your training schedule. So that goes into part of that 150 to 180 minutes. The point is 3 or 4 days of strength training a week and 2 or 3 days of some zone 2 cardio. You could do 20 minutes after strength training, and that'll do the trick. And just 1 day, I typically do it on a Saturday, where I spend about 30 minutes doing, it's called a VO2 max workout. That's when you go all out. Sounds hard, but it really isn't. And the key is just starting basic. So if you haven't been strength training, you just need to get started. A few push-ups, maybe some wall sits, maybe some air squats, maybe hang if you can't do any pull-ups. If you got access to a gym, some pull downs. The major muscle groups, so chest and back and legs and butt, those are the main ones, and they all work your core. But once you start a little bit, the cool thing is you start, it sucks when you haven't been exercising because you wake up sore. The soreness goes away in just a few days, and you keep doing it. And after a couple weeks, it actually can become pretty inspiring, addicting. You start seeing some small results in the mirror when you start lifting weights. And when you start doing cardio after 3 weeks to a month, you're not losing your breath as easy. So if I'm talking to people that are training, that just not sure on the program, it's really, I got in the habit of going a little bit lighter because I was afraid of injury. But really, I want to do proper sets of strength training, but I want to do heavier weight because that's what builds the muscle. So we talked about some strength training, and we talked about some cardio. And then you need to eat right. So eating right doesn't need to be perfect. I am far from perfect on the eating. I'm working on it, but your diet starts with being hydrated. Do that first thing in the morning. It's about trying to eat whole foods, organic. Buy your vegetables, the ones you like, and try to surround your meals with that. Protein sources. Ideally, you want to get a a gram of protein for your body weight. So I'm weighing 175, 180 pounds. So I eat 175 grams of protein every day. I get that source through meat, through chicken, through fish, through nuts, through yogurt, cottage cheese, things like that. And you'll be surprised how good you feel and how quickly you start building muscle. And there's nothing like people saying, "Hey, are you working out? Look at those guns!" And it's inspiring to know that other people are noticing. So remember, the point of this is staying healthy, so you're not faced with a major health problem. If you're getting your blood work done, if you're getting major things like your brain and your heart and your arteries checked and your organs, and you stay on top of it, doesn't mean that something catastrophic can't happen, but you're really reducing the odds of it. So a little bit of exercise and a good, well-rounded diet. In future videos, I'm going to talk about the specifics on how much you should eat and how to prepare. But the other things, and so these are the things to start doing. But when you start getting your blood work done, at least when I wanted my blood work to be perfect, I started eating healthy for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then my blood would come back, pretty clean. But a lot of it is more about what you need to stop doing than the exercise and the diet that you need to start doing. What you need to stop doing is we do a lot of sitting. We do a lot of sitting. We sit in our jobs, we sit in our car, we sit watching TV, and sitting is the new smoking. And so it's really important to be aware when you're sitting. It occurred to me right now that I'm sitting. Maybe I'll start doing these videos on a treadmill. But we sit too much, and I spent years sitting behind a desk, and that did havoc to my joints, and it's taken a long time to get all of that back. Another topic for another day, but it has caused some back problems from sitting too much. You also need to stop the processed foods, the ultra processed foods now. It goes back to diet, but those things are killing us. There's nothing good about ultra processed foods. They're the things that are going to just attack everything in your body and create more problems than anything. Ultra processed foods can cause cancer, can cause dementia, can cause heart disease, and it's crazy that knowing this sometimes doesn't prevent us from eating crap. And if you're 50 or 60, we were raised on it. The knowledge now that we have about what it's doing to our health, we have now. So there's really no excuse. It's just a matter of learning how to stop. So the ultra processed food, the sitting, and it's crazy that how many of my friends, a lot of our travel friends, will drink soda. Takes the pressure, I guess, off of alcohol, but Coca-Colas and Zero Cokes are the rage, and I just don't get it. I don't think I've had a soda in 30 years. I've known that sodas are bad. Sure, they're tasty, but except for back in some older drinking days of having some Captain and Coke, I haven't had any Coca-Cola in a very, very long time. So stop the sodas. And then I'm going to go out on the limb and say, stop drinking alcohol. I've stopped about 7 months ago, and it's taken a few months to actually feel the difference, but I can say with 100% certainty, I feel different. I feel more energy. I feel way more alive, and um, just really passionate about my health. And I didn't realize that the inflammation and the brain fog that having a few glasses of wine a week were given to me. It's only when I stopped for a long time that I've felt the difference. At least I think it's the non-alcohol that has produced this feeling. Of course, I'm doing a lot of different peptides and supplements as well, but I think it's the drinking is the major change in the last 6 or 7 months, and I do feel extraordinarily well. So it's the alcohol, it's the sodas, it's the processed foods, and it's sitting. Um, Another video I talked about the mind warp, the negativity we get from scrolling on social media or watching the news on TV. I mean, sitting and watching Netflix, at least it brings some form of entertainment. Still, I consider it, a pretty big waste of time unless you're doing it with your significant other and you're finding some joy from some of the cool shows that exist. But sitting down and watching the news or scrolling social media and watching people fight over politics, I don't know about you, but it creates so much just stress for me. And it's, you know, it's something that obviously staying away from is going to improve my health. And it's these other things and the habits that creep up on us when we're doing it recurrently over a period of time. 20 years of eating processed foods and drinking sodas and having an occasional beer and some wine on the weekends, and when you're out with some friends at dinner having an old fashioned and sitting at work. If you're exercising and eating well, you won't feel the impact as much, but all those things I just said, imagine doing them over 10, 20, 30 years, thinking, oh man, I'm getting old, the joints are aching, my back's hurting, I don't really have the energy to take off on a run. My kids or my grandkids are running around and I just don't have the energy. I want to sit down and rest. And we blame it on age. And so our health's getting bad as we age. But I think that's bullshit. I think it's our lifestyle that's causing the aging. Sure, chronologically, there's more years, but don't tell me that if you never stopped behaving like a kid in terms of your mindset and attitude and exercise level and eating right, and never stopped, we'd be feeling the way we're doing, trying to catch up. So the point of this video, once again, is to really stress that it's not hard to stay healthy, and the majority of people start taking care of their health when something goes wrong. In fact, I read a study just a week ago that when we hit the age of 63, that on average, it was over 50% of 63 plus start experiencing chronic illness, some sort of issue that's causing pain, that's causing concern, and generally that pain comes and you realize, crap, I haven't been taking care of myself. The good news is we could turn it around, but you got to take action. And most of the time we don't. Most of the time, I mean, I know, people that have experienced some significant health problems that have been caused by alcohol that go back and have alcohol. And I know there's been, situations where people can't remember after a night of drinking what they did the night before. And I've experienced people getting in fights because of alcohol. I've also experienced people, me being one of them, that just don't control the amount of food I eat and just feel horrible going to bed, and my night of sleep is just wrecked, and I wake up the next day completely exhausted. Why? It's because I didn't have control over what I ate. And if if I just controlled my eating a little bit, and you get on the habit of exercising every morning or whatever time of day, just imagine that, like picture that right now. Just get in the habit, whatever age you're at right now, of doing your exercise every day, whatever you can. Start by walking a little bit, increase your walking to a little bit further or a little bit longer, add some elevation to it. Start your strength training, start eating smaller portions, start eating better food, get rid of the bad crap, and just a few weeks, you're going to create, if you haven't been doing any of this, you're going to create, it's going to build self-esteem. You're going to be pretty proud of yourself, of the effort. You're going to feel really good on how you look. In fact, you'll feel so good that it's going to cause you to start reading information on health and other things you can do to start feeling younger and feeling better, tweaking your exercise program. What other things can I eat to get more protein, or what things can I avoid that cause issues? But those that I gave you are absolutely the big ones. The fact that we're just not paying attention to our health until it's a crisis is the concern I have, and what I want to do is inspire people to just take action. We have an opportunity. I read an article this morning, Ray Kurzweil, the futurist. He predicted the timing of the internet and the cell phone technology, and I mean, so many things. The number of predictions are in the hundreds, and with precise accuracy. And he's saying now that 2031, we're going to be able to extend life a year, and in that year, extend it another few years. And that technology is going to keep moving. So as long as we are super healthy in the next 5 years, there's going to be treatments and technology that's going to extend our health span. And remember, it's not about just living longer, it's about living healthy longer, being younger longer, being inspired in life, being able to do all the things you want to do. Going back to many talks I've had, for some reason, when we're children, we have all these dreams and ambitions and things we want to see, things we want to do. We have this picture of what our family looks like, and as we age, the things we're doing as we age. But something comes along, and we think we're going to live to 80, but it's really 60 where we stop doing those things. 65, 70, some people a little longer. We start believing that things are not possible. We have dreams of having companies or making money and being able to afford travel. Yet we start believing that we're not capable once we get to a certain age, or you have struggles financially, or you go through a divorce and you think, okay, it's too late. It's not flipping too late. If you're 70 years old now and you're out of shape, you can add Healthspan. You just need to get rid of the bad shit and start some good stuff. And if you do that, you're going to feel better and you're going to be healthy a little bit longer. Just don't wait until there's something horrible that takes place. We want to be around for our loved ones. I want to be around for my loved ones. I want to be around to see how the world's changing and how it's getting better. I want to see more of the world. This last year, I've got blessed to go with some great people, meet some new friends, and see different parts of the world that I actually dreamed of but never actually thought I would be there anytime soon. We spent a week and a half on a river cruise and spent some time in Vietnam and Cambodia. I never thought I was going to go there. I avoided the Vietnam War, and I had no intentions of ever going there, but man, I'm glad I did. I saw some really cool stuff, and just got back from an African safari, and I realized that I wouldn't be able to do that trip if I had any serious problems with strength or stamina. We're jumping in these jeeps every day that require us pulling ourselves up. We're doing lots of activities, so much fun, and I can't imagine missing that opportunity. And there's things I'm not even thinking of now that I want to do and try, that if my health starts to fail, I won't be able to. And that's kind of sad, right? It's kind of sad that we have this life, and because we didn't have the discipline to do some pretty easy stuff, and now we can't do things we love. To me, that's kind of pathetic. Now, if it was hard, if something was really hard to do, like in order to stay healthy, I've got to rope climb, 20 feet every day, then I would say, I don't know if it's worth it. There are people that would say, absolutely. But the things I'm talking about, it's not that tough to be healthy. Stop doing the stuff we know hurt our health and start doing the things we know help our health. Exercise, quality food. I haven't talked about some personal time, meaning some meditation or some quiet time. I do it in the morning. That's so good for your mind. And the other thing is to start creating play. Put play on your schedule. What do you like to do? Is it golf? Is it reading? Is it dancing? Is it just traveling, going out with your spouse to a nice dinner, entertaining friends? What is it that you love to do? Do that, because it's the play, it's the relationships with people, it's adventure that also adds to the quality of health you have, and the ability to have a longer health span. Because remember, we want to get healthy first, get healthy now, and then keep staying healthy and be healthy for as long as possible, and then drop dead.